This video will introduce the first project that we'll be working on in this class. As you can see, in each module you have different files and in some cases folders where you will kind of dig through and learn all about the course. So the welcome module has the module objectives, activities, and things you'll learn. So things that you'll want to click on to learn that will be, due necessarily. The video lecture introducing the Project1, which I'm doing now. The micro lecture discussing how to set up your type portrait. This will be a link by the time that you access it. And then the learning materials, kind of the same stuff in here too. There'll be a couple more links here that you'll be able to click on. So there's a lot of different ways to access the different parts of these courses. So then, you've got your portrait, where the subjects are due, different articles. So, make sure you get familiar. But I want to go over the type portrait. So this is going to be the first project in this class, and I think you guys will have a blast working on this project. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to create a portrait of a famous person using just type, just letter forms. Some cases you could use words, in some cases you can use punctuation or numbers. The idea is to take the facial features of that famous person and figure out what typographic character might best show that different feature, or the hair strand or the earlobe or the earrings and stuff like that. So you can see some examples here, and the examples go from really complex to very simple. So if you look at, Spock here, this is pretty complex, but you'll notice that they're not, you're not drawing with the type. You're just using the letter forms. This is a little bit too much drawing with the type, but if you look at her hair and her eyes and zoom in, you'll see that really that the letter forms, have really taken the information. So here, his eyebrows are J's, using just to do the shadow of his jaw, kind of adding the letter forms here, to really simple. If you look at this, hopefully you guys all recognize this person as Frida Kahlo. But these are just letter forms, kind of creating her eyes and her nose and her mouth, and it's just really lovely. Less drawing. If I look at this, I think this, Justin Timberlake, I think that, it is a good solution. But if you can tell here, you shouldn't really be drawing with the type. You should kind of do what the person did with Spock in creating the different unique letter forms to make up that. And even, with Marilyn's sort of the shadow of her jaw, you can see using type, the little dip in her, I don't even know what you call this, but, using that A. And then you have the Tin Man. This is another case where this is super, super simple, but look how cool the eyes are and the nose and just the hat being this big Y. Edgar Allan Poe, the person used some of the words from his poems, which I think is really cool. But still, the O for the I and a word and letter forms to kind of focus in on the lines under the I, and the C for his nose. So you don't have to necessarily be literal. You just need to kind of have that person be recognizable. So, the process, it kind of goes through the process, and I will have a separate video that kind of walks through this a little bit more. You're just going to be setting this up on 8.5 by 11, but really the first part is to pick the famous person. So when I say famous person, this person has to be easily recognizable by the general public. It can't be your, favorite poet that just looks like anybody else. And I shouldn't say looks like anybody else, but you want this person to be easily recognizable. So hopefully all of you were able to easily recognize these characters. And you'll see in some cases it's an actor that's playing a part. So it's Spock, or, what would it do if you did like Johnny Depp as the Pirates of the Caribbean, Captain Jack, and you could do, some people have done Gandalf, and some people have done, trying to think who else. I mean, the Tin Man is a character from a movie, and so you can do a singer, but you want it to be an identifiable singer. So Justin Timberlake is pretty identifiable. If you think of Jimi Hendrix, he's pretty identifiable. If you think of an artist, Salvador Dali has the mustache that's very identifiable. Frida Kahlo, I feel like, is very identifiable. Some people might not be as easily recognized, especially when you're translating that into text. So, when you do submit your person that you're thinking of, kind of be ready for me to say, oh, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that successfully, or, maybe you are, but you really want to pick people that have really interesting characteristics. I know somebody did Mike Tyson because he has like the tattoo on his face. I'm trying to think of another person that somebody did. I can, there's a whole bunch, but, really think about that, about who could be fun, about somebody who's got like either cool hair, or they wear really big earrings, or they have just really expressive facial features and stuff like that. And it can be an actress or an actor playing a character. I think somebody did Tony Stark as Iron Man, but you could still kind of see his face. Somebody did a really cool Darth Vader, which I think is difficult, but I think that could potentially be doable. Stuff like that. So definitely they should be people. So, no cartoons or anything like that. So, and then just, read through, see if you have any questions. I will definitely post another video that kind of goes over the process. But I wanted to at least kind of introduce it this way, so you can start thinking about who you might want to create a type portrait out of.